Brooklyn, New York was alive, with the usual chaos, honking cars, chatter of people on the streets, and the dim glow of neon signs reflecting on wet pavements. Among the crowd walked Jason Carter, a young man with a reputation that made even adults nervous. Jason was no ordinary college student. Known in the neighborhood as a gangster, he carried himself with a fearless attitude, his eyes sharp and observing, always alert. The campus he entered that morning was bustling with students moving to their classes, but the moment Jason appeared, a hush fell over the hallways. Students whispered behind their hands, "That's Jason. Stay away." Fear and respect mingled in every glance thrown his way. In the crowd was Emily Miller, a bright, diligent student who had dreams of becoming a writer. She had never seen someone like Jason. His sharp gaze met hers, and her heart raced. She froze in place, unsure whether to run or stay. Jason noticed her reaction and gave a small, knowing smile. He didn't smile with kindness, nor with cruelty. It was a smile that carried curiosity, a hint of amusement. Her heart raced. This means she was very nervous or scared. Days went by, but Emily couldn't shake the image of Jason from her mind. Fear mixed strangely with fascination whenever she recalled the way he carried himself. She tried to focus on her studies, but even in the quiet corners of the library, her thoughts wandered to the mysterious gangster. One rainy afternoon changed everything. Emily was walking home after her evening classes. The streets glistened with rain, making it slippery. Suddenly, a car skidded out of control and hit her. She collapsed on the wet pavement, unconscious, her books scattered around her. Screams erupted from bystanders, but no one dared approach immediately. Jason, who happened to be nearby, saw the accident unfold. Without thinking twice, he sprinted toward Emily, lifted her carefully into his arms, and shouted for help. He ignored the cold rain soaking his jacket, the crowd staring in awe, and the danger of the chaotic street. For the first time, he felt fear not for his own life, but for the life of someone else. Without thinking twice, this means doing something immediately, without hesitation. He reached the hospital, carrying Emily as if she weighed nothing. Nurses rushed her into the emergency room while Jason stood outside, pacing nervously. The minutes crawled by. Every tick of the clock amplified his anxiety. This was a side of life Jason rarely experienced, a side that no gang battle had ever shown him. Hours later, the doctor came out, stating she was stable. Relief washed over Jason like a heavy wave. He had saved a life tonight, a life that had unexpectedly become important to him. When Emily opened her eyes, she saw Jason sitting by her bedside. Weakly, she whispered, "Why? Why are you here?" Jason's voice was soft, almost gentle. "Because I couldn't let you die." "I couldn't let you die." This means he took action to prevent something from happening. The following days saw Jason visiting Emily regularly. Sometimes he brought fruits. Other times he brought a book he thought she might enjoy. Slowly, Emily's fear began to fade. She started noticing the small things, the softness in his voice when he thought no one was listening, the careful way he placed a blanket over her, the rare, genuine smile that appeared on his face when she joked. One evening, as the hospital grew quiet and shadows stretched across the walls. Emily asked, "Why do people call you dangerous?" Jason paused, his eyes dropping to the floor. "Because I chose a path that scares people, but I don't want you to see me like that. I don't want you to see me like that." In English, this structure don't want Jian. Object Jian to Jian. Verb is used to express desire or preference. Emily realized there was more to Jason than his reputation. Beneath the tattoos, the leather jackets, and the rumors of violence, there was a man capable of caring deeply. Jason realized he had found someone who could see the real him. Someone. The weeks after Emily's accident brought subtle changes. Jason's life, once dictated entirely by the streets, began to revolve around her. He still walked the alleys of Brooklyn, spoke in whispered codes with his gang, and navigated the dangerous world he had always known, but Emily's presence added a new dimension. One afternoon, Emily's father, Mr. Miller, unexpectedly came to the hospital. He had heard rumors about Jason and was furious. "I will not allow my daughter to associate with a gangster," he shouted. His voice echoed through the empty hallways. Emily flinched, but Jason stood firm, unafraid of the confrontation. "I will not allow. This is a formal way to express refusal or denial." Mr. Miller's disapproval was a harsh reminder that the outside world still judged Jason. Yet, Emily's eyes conveyed a silent message. She trusted him. Despite the anger, a conversation began. Jason explained how he had saved her life, his tone calm but firm. Slowly, Mr. Miller's anger softened, though his caution remained. As days turned into weeks, Emily recovered fully. However, her family remained protective. They forbade her from meeting Jason again, fearing his reputation. Yet fate had its own plans. One evening, while Emily was leaving college, she was confronted by a wealthy young man named Richard Hayes. He was tall, impeccably dressed, and had a commanding presence. Richard was engaged to marry Emily not out of love, but because he wanted to assert control over her. He believed that by marrying a girl admired by others, he could flaunt his status and manipulate those around him. Jason, who had followed her discreetly, observed the situation from across the street. He could see the fear in Emily's eyes as Richard approached her with authority. Without a second thought, Jason stepped forward, confronting Richard openly. Without a second thought means immediately, without hesitating. The confrontation turned violent. Richard underestimated Jason's skill and instinct. With controlled force, Jason defended Emily, making it clear that she was not to be intimidated. Bystanders watched, awe and fear mixing in their eyes. Later, Jason brought Emily to a safe location, a small apartment he occasionally used when he needed privacy from the streets. He made sure she was comfortable, offering food and warmth. For Emily, the fear of Richard and her family's disapproval clashed with her growing trust and feelings for Jason. During their time together, Jason shared stories of his life in Brooklyn. He explained the pressures of gang life, the constant threats, and the weight of choices made too young. Emily listened, absorbing every word, realizing that the boy she had once feared was shaped by circumstances beyond his control. Absorbing every word means listening carefully and understanding fully. One night, Emily asked softly, "Why do you risk so much for me?" Jason's eyes softened. Because you are not like the others. You see me for who I really am, not who the world says I am. Not who the world says I am. This phrase emphasizes being judged unfairly by public opinion. Emily realized the depth of his feelings, but she also knew that obstacles lay ahead. Richard's influence, her family's disapproval, and Jason's dangerous lifestyle were all barriers that could separate them. Yet, their bond continued to strengthen in subtle, unspoken ways. In the following days, Jason and Emily's conversations grew longer. They discussed literature, philosophy, and their personal dreams. Emily taught Jason new English phrases, encouraging him to speak more clearly and express himself better. Jason stumbled over words at first, but his persistence impressed her. Means his determination left a strong, positive impression. Meanwhile, Richard plotted in the background. He was determined to claim Emily, believing that controlling her would validate his power. He used wealth and influence to create obstacles for Jason, sending threats and trying to manipulate Emily emotionally. One evening, Richard confronted Emily in a public place, creating a scene. Jason, arriving just in time, diffused the situation with calculated words and restrained strength. He did not resort to reckless violence, showing that he could protect Emily intelligently. Calculated words and restrained strength means he acted thoughtfully, not impulsively. Emily's respect and trust in Jason grew. She saw that his strength was not only physical, but also emotional and mental. He could protect her, guide her, and stand by her side without unnecessary aggression. However, Emily's family still opposed their relationship. Mr. Miller and her mother feared Jason's background. They argued that their daughter deserved safety, stability, and a life away from danger. Despite Emily's reassurances, they remained adamant. During one heated confrontation, Jason said firmly, "I will not let anyone hurt her, not even you." His tone was serious, yet respectful. "I will not let anyone hurt her," means he is determined to protect her, no matter what. Emily's family began to see Jason differently. They noticed his commitment, his restraint, and his willingness to change for Emily. Slowly, they realized that love and care cannot always be measured by wealth or social status. Meanwhile, Jason continued his double life, navigating the challenges of gang rivalries, while maintaining a protective, respectful presence in Emily's life. Each day tested him, forcing him to balance aggression with restraint, fear with courage, and his past with the possibility of a new future. Their conversations began, including more English practice. Jason learned new words from Emily, such as resilience, integrity, and courage, using them in real sentences. Emily corrected him gently when he mispronounced words, making learning interactive and meaningful. Interactive and meaningful means engaging and valuable, providing real understanding. Weeks passed. Emily's family saw Jason's sincerity, and Emily's confidence in him grew. Despite the obstacles, their connection deepened, becoming a source of hope, strength, and mutual growth. They were learning from each other not just English, but life lessons about courage, trust, and commitment. One quiet evening, Jason took Emily to a rooftop overlooking Brooklyn. The city lights sparkled below, and the night air was calm. He whispered, "No matter what comes, I will always stand by you." Emily looked at him, realizing that love, trust, and mutual understanding were stronger than fear, social barriers, or threats. "I will always stand by you" means he will support and protect her no matter the circumstances. That night, they both understood that their journey was only beginning. Many challenges lay ahead: family opposition, Richard's schemes, and the dangerous world Jason still navigated. Yet, for the first time, they felt that love, courage, and determination could help them overcome anything. The weeks following Emily's rooftop conversation brought a fragile peace. Jason and Emily's relationship was still secretive, their meetings carefully timed to avoid her family's watchful eyes. Yet, every moment together strengthened their bond. Emily had returned to her classes, but thoughts of Jason followed her constantly. She found herself watching the streets outside her college, hoping to catch a glimpse of him. Jason, on his part, made sure to check in on her every day, using coded messages and quick visits to ensure she was safe. One afternoon, as Emily was walking through the busy streets of Brooklyn, a figure emerged from the shadows Richard Hayes. His wealth and arrogance had not waned. Richard, furious that Emily continued to evade him, decided to create a scene, attempting to intimidate her into compliance. Jason, always alert, saw the situation unfolding. Without hesitation, he intervened, placing himself between Emily and Richard. "Back off," Jason said calmly, yet with an authority that left no room for argument. Without hesitation, doing something immediately without thinking twice. Authority, the power to command, influence, or control. Richard, enraged, tried to provoke Jason into a fight, but Jason, understanding the importance of restraint, controlled his anger. He did not need to use brute force. His calm confidence was enough to make Richard back down, at least for the moment. Emily realized that Jason's strength was not just physical, it was also emotional and strategic. He could protect her without unnecessary violence, showing her a side of him that few ever witnessed. Despite Jason's careful planning, Richard continued to create obstacles. He used wealth, influence, and threats to manipulate Emily's family, making them question Jason's suitability as a partner. Emily, frustrated and worried, often turned to Jason for advice. Manipulate. To control or influence someone cleverly, often unfairly. One night, Jason visited Emily's home secretly to speak with her. They sat in the small, dimly lit park nearby. "I don't care what anyone says," Jason whispered. "I will not let them take you away from me." Emily's eyes welled up. She understood the depth of his commitment, but fear still lingered. Fear for both their futures. "I don't care what anyone says," means ignoring others' opinions and being determined. As days passed, tension mounted. Emily's family finally confronted her, insisting that she break off contact with Jason. "You cannot be with him," her father said firmly. "He is a gangster, and we will not allow it." Jason, learning of the confrontation, felt a surge of anger and worry. He knew he had to act carefully. Reacting impulsively could endanger Emily or escalate the situation further. He planned to address the issue logically, not recklessly. Impulsively, acting without thought or planning. Logically, using reason and careful thinking. Determined to prove his love, Jason orchestrated a meeting with Emily's family. He explained his intentions clearly, highlighting his care for Emily and his willingness to change his life for her. He spoke with respect, not arrogance, demonstrating his sincerity. Emily's parents began to see the truth in his words. Though reluctant, they realized that Jason's commitment and love for Emily were genuine. They hesitated less when they noticed that no threat, wealth, or fear could sway his dedication. Meanwhile, Richard, enraged by Jason's growing acceptance by Emily's family, tried a final attempt to separate them. He used threats and intimidation, but Jason had prepared. He confronted Richard directly, making it clear that any attempt to harm Emily would have serious consequences. Intimidation, the act of frightening or threatening someone to make them do what you want. Emily's admiration for Jason grew. She saw that his courage was not reckless bravado, but a careful balance of strength, intelligence, and emotion. Jason, too, felt a renewed sense of purpose. Emily's trust motivated him to be better, to leave behind some of the chaos and violence that had defined his past. In the following weeks, Jason helped Emily's family understand him more. Slowly, walls of mistrust crumbled. Emily's parents, witnessing his patience, commitment, and unwavering support, finally gave their reluctant blessing. Reluctant, hesitant, or unwilling at first, with her family's approval, Emily felt a sense of relief and hope. The obstacles were not gone. Brooklyn's streets still posed dangers, and Richard still lingered, but she now knew that with Jason by her side, they could face whatever came. Their bond strengthened, built on trust, shared experiences, and a growing understanding of each other's worlds. Jason began to focus on learning new ways to communicate, improving his English with Emily's help. Words like resilience, integrity, and courage became part of their daily conversations. Emily corrected his pronunciation gently, and Jason practiced diligently, showing that growth was possible even for someone from a rough background. Diligently, with care, effort, and attention to detail. One quiet evening, Jason and Emily walked along the Brooklyn waterfront. The sun set in brilliant orange and red, reflecting on the water. Jason took Emily's hand and said, "No matter what happens, I will always protect you." Emily felt the weight and sincerity in his words. No matter what happens means regardless of the circumstances. Protect, to keep safe from harm or danger. Their story, once chaotic and uncertain, now had a sense of hope. Yet both knew the path ahead was filled with challenges. Gang rivalries, societal judgment, and Richard's lingering threats would test their love. But their shared determination and trust provided the strength to face these trials. Through their journey, Emily and Jason also learned from each other. Emily became braver, understanding resilience in the face of danger. Jason learned patience, empathy, and the value of words over violence. Their relationship became a bridge between two very different worlds, each learning from the other while growing stronger together. As the night fell, Brooklyn's lights flickered like tiny stars across the water. Jason and Emily stood together, silently promising that no matter the chaos, they would face it side by side. Love, courage, and mutual respect had become their guiding forces, shaping a new future beyond fear and danger.